Welcome to our live conversational interview podcast. In today's episode, we'll be chatting with Scott Larson from Outfin Group, who has 15 years of finance experience at leading investment firms, including investment banking at JPMorgan and private equity at JCP Capital Partners. In his career, he has worked with hundreds of Fortune 500 CEOs and CFOs. His expansive experience will help your business grow and be more valuable, obviously, for exiting. In addition, Scott has an MBA from Columbia Business School and a BA in Finance and Accounting from the University of Colorado. Welcome, Scott, to episode 9 CFO Journeys, the Good and the Bad, with you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to have you. So we met on X. So another great, a great, I guess, way to network is through X, and I guess like it's introduced me to a lot of amazing people more than on LinkedIn. So Scott, we've got the podcast has three main parts. We've got breaking the ice. We've got a deep dive, and then if any questions, we'll have them at the end. And yeah, so let's get going. We're going to break the ice, and we want to know what you're drinking, if you're drinking something.
Water, pretty boring.
Oh my goodness, I'm dying to meet somebody who drinks something more exciting than water.
It's 10 in the morning on the East Coast in the United States here, so it's not time for anything stronger than water at the moment.
All right. Fine. Okay. Well, we'll stick to water. Water is good. Everyone out there, drink water. It's good for the health. Moving on. Background. Childhood dreams. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What's the career path? Scholarity, school, college. How did that go? And how did it get you to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, I always wanted to do something entrepreneurial, and it was always on the docket of like let's work to kind of get to a point where I can kind of run and own my own company. And I was also always interested in finance and the stock market and also just like the finances within businesses. And so that's where I majored in finance and accounting. And I thought a great kind of introduction and a great kind of career path out of school would be to go into investment banking, and that's what I set my aspirations to do, and ended up doing that for 2 years after school at JPMorgan. And investment banking is especially outside of school is rigorous. The hours are crazy long. Someone explained it to me as you get 4 years of experience in 2 years because you literally work the 4 years of hours. And I think that was certainly
Mhm.
the case. But being a 22-year-old kid straight out of undergrad and being in a meeting with a CEO of a Fortune 100 company is a pretty unique and special experience, and certainly does kind of get you that experience level kind of pretty early on in your career. And the lessons learned from doing investment banking I will have for the rest of my life. And so it's something that certainly did kind of kick off a career in finance.
Okay, great. So that you, I guess, all the way to where you are today as a fractional CFO, which we'll do a deeper dive. Great. Next is family life. No, actually, before that, I want to know if you've got any hobbies, leisure activity that allows you to find yourself or recalibrate.
Yeah, I have three young daughters, so don't have too much leisure time. So trying to keep them keep them behaving is is a lot of work. Outside of that, big sports fan. So you name a sport, I'll watch it. Basketball, football, soccer, anything. I'm a fan of it all, and so it's been a part of my life growing up from when I was very little. One of my first memories was going to an NFL football game, the Denver Broncos, with my dad. I think I was 4, and it's really been a big part of my life since then, and it still is. And luckily, I have a wife who's a big sports fan, and our girls are starting to be interested as well. So that's a big part of kind of non-work hours is spending time with the girls and watching sports.
Okay. So do you practice any sports? Do you golf? Do you
Grew up,
play any?
and I used to be good at golf. I'm not as good anymore. As you age and fatherhood becomes a real thing, it's doesn't allow you to have as much time. But try to get out there and golf as much as possible, and definitely a sport I follow pretty closely as well.
Okay, so now you're taking your clubs for a walk occasionally when you do have time, when your daughters allow it.
Correct.
All right, great. So I guess um, family life, what it looks like, how do you manage to integrate it into your professional life?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, three young girls, and I have a great office in my house, and so I'm able to pop out, in between meetings and in between calls, and go, have a 10 or 15 minute conversation with one of the girls if they're around, or go play with them a little bit, and it actually is great. It gives me the flexibility to do that. And look, I see a lot of friends of mine that travel a lot for work, and they kiss their kids goodbye on Sunday and don't see them again till Friday. And I
Wow.
don't take that for granted, that I'm able to kind of have these like kind of little mini interactions with the girls throughout the week, and also spending time with them on weekends. And so it's something I think is super special about what I'm doing and working on, and it allows that to happen, which is great.
Okay. So let's cut the chase. Let's get into a deep dive. Um, we'd like to know what your daily routine looks like. So, are
Yeah.
you a morning person?
Mm.
How early is early? And I guess wake up to bedtime. What does it look like? What does a typical
Yeah,
day look like?
wake up at 6, and I'm a morning person. I'm much more productive in the morning. My wife
Mhm.
is a night person, so she'll work until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. She can do that. I can't do that. I'm way more focused in the morning. So wake up at 6, and that's
Mhm.
when the day starts. Kind of put together to-do lists, and get some kind of early tasks done before the kids wake up around 7. Then it's a little bit of like morning routine with them, get them dressed, get them fed, get them ready for school. The bus comes at 7:30, and get them on the bus at 7:30, and then it's back to the desk, and working until lunchtime, from about 7:30 to noon, lunchtime, and then back at it, and really work until about dinner time, which is about 6 o'clock. And then usually a couple hours after dinner, just trying to kind of button everything up from the day, and plan out the next day. So the day tends to revolve around the kid's schedule. When the bus comes, after the bus is gone, drives away, that's when the day really really starts. And then it ends when it's dinner time with the kids.
Okay. Do your kids come back for lunch
No,
or
no,
do they? Okay,
they're at
lunch at
school.
school.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Um, Fractional CFO Outfin Group. Um, what niche or specialty have you been able to make a difference in? How did you? What was that? Um, I guess what was the trigger to founding Outfin Group, and then what are the niches you specialize in?
Yeah, look, I founded the firm last year, and it really started from I was looking around at companies to buy, actually, and I was going to try to buy a company, and kind of take ownership of it. And all the companies that I was looking at, I just noticed that there was a massive a hole in their kind of finance function. And a lot of times these founders of companies have built a great product, they have a great business, and they don't have a really good handle on their numbers, and it really was kind of stopping them from really being very optimized. The profitability wasn't where it could have been, the growth wasn't where it could have been, and frankly it impacted the valuation of these businesses. And I've seen that over and over again of these founders who have spent their life kind of building an amazing business, an amazing product, and they look to go to sell, and they're not getting the value that they could be, just because they haven't really invested in the proper kind of finance function within there's businesses. And there's a founder I actually spoke with a couple weeks ago, and he sold his engineering firm a couple years ago, and 18 months later, the firm that he sold it to, the private equity group that he sold it to, resold it for double what they paid him. And so you think about that, he gave up a massive amount of money, and it was just little basic blocking and tackling things that he could have done before he sold that he didn't do, and it cost himself a lot of money. And so I just see a massive hole in the market of businesses that they might have accountants, they might have bookkeepers, some of them might even have fractional CFOs that call themselves CFOs, but they're not optimizing their business at all, and they're not really kind of dressing it up for the highest valuation possible that they could get when they do look to go sell it. So that's the niche that we're going after. Is if you own a business, you're a founder of a business, if you're ever going to look to sell, you're ever going to look to exit, start making those investments in the finance function today, and you're gonna reap rewards on that down the line whenever you go look to sell. And the ROI on the spend is enormous. It's almost infinite. There's things that we can do to your business that it's going to make it almost double or triple the valuation that you would have been getting if you didn't work with a group like us. So that's the kind of niche that we've seen, and it's been a super interesting journey so far, for sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna backtrack on the fact that you were actually looking to purchase a business. So what did that look like? Were you after something specific? Was it a particular niche that you were interested in, or was it just really an opportunistic sort of journey and desire to acquire a business? And
Yeah.
were you going to owner operator, or were you just going to acquire it and put the right people in there to manage and operate the business?
Yeah, it's gonna put the right people in to manage the business. Like you mentioned in the beginning, I do have a private equity background, and really wanted to
Mhm.
find the interesting opportunities in a business to buy, and then put in the right processes to grow it and improve it, and hold on to it for a long period of time. And it's interesting because that's where I really kind of saw this opportunity of wow, there's so many businesses out there that aren't even sellable because the founder of the business haven't built the right infrastructure around themselves. And so you couldn't even buy these businesses if you wanted to. Just if the founder were to leave, the business wouldn't really operate. And that's the huge opportunity that I saw, that Outfin Group kind of helps with.
Mhm.
And look, there's this, everyone kind of has talked about this silver tsunami where there's just millions and millions of these baby boomer businesses that are out there, and the baby boomers are looking to retire, and they're looking to go on to do something else with their life, and they need to kind of do something with these businesses. And frankly, I think a lot of these businesses, sadly, are just going to kind of wind down because the founders haven't put the proper kind of work and investments into the business to kind of create a real business, as opposed to just having a job for themselves. And that's the problem
Um,
that we're really trying to solve.
and absolutely, but the things so I 100% see where you're coming from, and from what I've been observing, and and it's like very basic observations, is the problem is not only is the silver tsunami, everyone's winding down, not
Yeah.
going to be selling, but you're winding down those business. You're hiring people, okay, and with that, what's going to happen to these people?
Yeah.
So the I don't think people have taken into consideration and have thought about this, where they're literally we're going to have a big problem in terms of employment.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you mentioned that you tweeted about it and said it looks like 50%, and that's being really conservative in terms of the numbers that will just wind down.
Yeah.
Therefore, those people who are working for these businesses are going to be finding themselves without any work,
Yeah.
and because there's nothing replacing it, we're going to have a major problem. And it's not just in the US. Your 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 research is mainly US based, but if we
Yeah.
look at it worldwide, it's just going to be a hell of a problem. So my advice then for a fractional CFO, what is the advice you would give to a business owner who's about to retire and not too sure how to go about it, what to do with his business, because it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So
And I
what's
think
the advice to them?
they're doing a disservice to first to themselves, because I think there's
Mm,
ways that they could exit the business and create the retirement that they really want. And so that's one. And then two,
mhm,
yeah, you're doing a disservice to the employees of the business if you're going to like look to wind it down or not really properly investing in the business itself. And so my advice is to seek help and find someone who can help you with the infrastructure in the business, help you build layers beneath you as a founder, and really help create a business, and as opposed to a job for yourself. And Alpha Group does that, but there's others out there as well. And I think get advice and hire the right kind of people to come in and help you kind of build around yourself. And as I mentioned, the ROI on it is extraordinary, because you're going to actually be able to sell it, and you're going to sell it for a large amount of money. You're going to become more profitable today. So the ROI is not even down the road; it's actually today. And I think a lot of times, and I've seen this firsthand, a lot of these founders are just they're prideful, and they've built a great business for themselves. They've earned a good living, and they think, why do I need to invest in this, or why do I need to help getting this business kind of sold? I can figure this out myself. And a lot of times it doesn't work that way, and you need help, and you need advice, and you need someone to help you come in and kind of create real infrastructure around yourself. And
mhm.
it's better for everybody involved if you go ahead and do that. So I think that's a big one of the big problems.
Okay. So, because a lot of people don't know what it is and how it works, fractional CFO, can you define it? What all is about, and why is it something a modern business or not business should seriously consider today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's taking your business and creating metrics and creating forecasts and budgets and getting expert advice around, should I hire that next person? Should we build that plant over here? Should I spend that next incremental dollar on this marketing or this piece of software? And let's actually put some data behind that decision. And let's say, is ROI interesting? And getting help with that from someone who has finance background and who can also help you benchmark and look at your business as, look, you have 30% margins today. Every other business in your industry has 50% margins, because they're doing these X, Y, and Z things that you're not doing, and helping kind of optimize your business from like a finance perspective is another key thing. And then lastly, I think helping a lot with pricing strategies and hiring decisions, as well as M&A. Maybe there's someone who came and wanted to buy your business, and they're offering you a price. Is that the right price for your business, or can you get a higher multiple or higher price elsewhere? So kind of really helping with all the kind of financial parts of the business, outside of accounting, outside of tax, outside of bookkeeping, is really what a good fractional CFO can do. And I do think this is an interesting time to talk about. I see a lot of fractional CFOs out there, and they're on social media, and a lot of them are pretty good marketers. And if you dig into their experience level, they don't really have finance experience, and some of them are CPAs. Nothing wrong with CPAs, but most good CFOs are actually not CPAs. They have finance backgrounds, they have MBAs. And so if you're looking to hire a fractional CFO, my advice is really dig into the experience of the CFO. And a lot of times I see a lot of like bookkeepers that are calling themselves CFOs. I see a lot of accountants who call themselves CFOs. A good fractional CFO is going to be kind of more of a finance background, more of an MBA type. That's going to really help you kind of optimize and grow and thrive, in your business, grow and thrive, not just a kind of bean counter that's going to count your numbers for you.
Okay, interesting. Definitely. And I mean, I've been seeing the fractional executive movement, really grow exponentially, especially since COVID, with this remote working, etc. It really has had a massive boost to it. But I guess people need to be wary of why a fractional CFO would be, or any fractional level executive is worth looking into,
Yep.
and it's it's not a permanent role, hence the fact. But at the same time, a fractional executive will help considerably your hiring process because they know what you actually fundamentally need when you actually put together your permanent team. So I think that's also something that people really need to understand. The benefits of hiring fractional are really, really, I guess, uh, economically a good idea.
Yeah, that's right, and that's something we like to say to founders as well is you're getting a, you know, a Fortune kind of 500 expertise CFO in your business for a fraction of the cost of even a full-time CFO, and I think that's the value prop is I think is enormous, and you've seen this in your business and you see it across other kind of fractional roles. And you mentioned it
Mhm.
before. I think it's super fascinating that, you know, 5 years ago, you really couldn't do this. You know, we didn't have remote working. A lot of the times you needed to be local, you needed to be on site. A lot of the software was a little bit more on site. And so the whole kind of move to SaaS, cloud-based remote work has opened up the possibility for businesses to work with world-class expertise in their business at an
100%.
affordable price, and then they're able to kind of, you know, do it in their business. And so it's such an interesting kind of movement that we're seeing. And you know, for companies to be able to get this type of advice into their business is extraordinary. And I, you know, the recommendation is like take advantage of that. Like don't sleep on that, because I think it's out there, it's affordable, and it can really help your business. And so, you know, you might as well go do it.
Return on value is
Yeah.
definitely considerable and should not be neglected or pushed to the side. And people need to execute today. You know, don't
Yep.
wait till tomorrow because you're going to be left behind.
Yep.
Cool. So, success ventures, reflecting on your experiences. Can you tell us about a or a few successful ventures you've been involved with?
Yeah, we have a really interesting one right now, and we have a client who has a software company, and like as I mentioned before, the founders of the company were kind of doing everything, and there wasn't really any layers beneath them, and they have a really interesting, very cool software that in a TAM that's enormous, and I think this is going to be a really big company. And the founders came to me and our firm and said, we need kind of help with the finance function, and we also need help kind of building out the infrastructure in the business. And so we're in the process now of kind of modeling out, you know, how we're going to get this business to the next level. And we're also in the process of really building the infrastructure of the business and creating SOPs, hiring a sales force, and really trying to take the business and creating a infrastructure beneath the founders. Because right now, if the
Mhm,
founders were to leave the company, there wouldn't be really a company. And we're in the
mhm,
process now of really kind of building out what we need to build out. And my prediction is this is going to absolutely explode their growth. And I think these founders are setting themselves up to have like a 9-figure exit. Like I really think it's going to be that big of a company in not that long from now, probably 2 or 3 years. They're going to be in that position. So that's the type of work that we do to help kind of institutionalize what is a you know a good business today, but really making it great and helping these founders to get like a pretty life changing outcome once we kind of hit those steps in, you know, 2 or 3 years.
okay. So your role with this, have you, is there a sort of a time limit or a guideline to which you're going to be involved before, I guess, helping them hire a full-time CFO to take them to the next level?
Yeah, I think it depends on the business, depends how big they get. I
Yeah.
view that as a success. Like if we get this business big enough where they can afford and they need a full-time CFO, we've done our job, you know, and I think we're going to help kind of you know help them find that CFO as well, and I view that as a absolute success, and that's the end goal. That or sell the business. And again, you know, we lose a client in that scenario, both those scenarios, but that's okay because I think that's what we want. We want these businesses to kind of get to that next level. That to us is a win, and we're going to find more clients. And so the more we see that, I think the better that is for our business.
And I guess what will actually happen is they found us. By default, it's something that, you know, even after exiting, you're not just going to sit back and just wait
Yeah.
and retire. You're going to come up with something else, and you cannot help but creating things.
Yep.
I guess that's the mentality of an entrepreneur. You're forever having a desire to solve problems, provide solutions to all sorts of scenarios. So
Right.
they know you, so they're going to be back.
Yeah.
And in terms of referrals, of
Yeah.
course, because somebody's going to ask, and people are always asking, who helped you?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to exit, there's going
Yeah.
to be like, who helped you?
Right.
Well, X, Y, and Z. So actually, it's doing our job properly as fractionals has immense value, and that keeps that pipeline of great businesses coming our way. And I think that's also one of the great things is we're not as fractionals, we're always looking at let's get this baby growing.
Yeah.
I guess it's like bringing up kids. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, your whole role as a parent is take them until they're 18, and 18, see you later. You guys are big enough, well educated enough. You've got all the tools to, you know, get on adulting.
Yep.
So
That's right.
yeah, and it's not
Uh,
like, oh no, you have to stay at home with mommy and daddy. No, just like fly with your own wings.
Correct. That's right.
And
That's you done your job when that happens.
yeah, because I have people, oh, well, can you help us? Where we want to be a multi $100 million company or multi. I said, like, that's not my role. And usually fractionals where we sit at the beginning,
Yep.
you know, right at the beginning or when there's a serious transition to make.
Yep.
So I guess, the businesses that you were trying to acquire before setting up Outfin Group, your they would have been ideal because they really needed to, I guess, pivot or do something serious to be able to sell. You
Yeah,
know,
that's right. And that's another thing I tell founders is this is not a short term thing. Like if you're looking to sell your
mm,
business eventually, you need to start 2, 3, 4 years before you do that. Like this is not a 6 month process. This is a minimum 18 months process to really get the infrastructure there, get your business optimized, and that's when you're going to get the most value out of really working with someone like Outfin Group. We can do what we can if you want to sell in 6 months, but there's only so much you can do. And
I can
so
do.
start early. And I see founders who say they know they want to do it, they know they need to, but there's a little bit of like a kicking the can, like, well, call us next quarter. Well, yeah, we like the idea of working with you, but like, let's wait till next year. We're not ready yet. And
Mm,
I always like to say, like, time out. You need to start yesterday. And so, like, if you continue to kick the can down the road, you're just kicking the can down your retirement and your exit, and you're costing yourselves money. And there, why wait? Why leave money on the table? Let's start today. And I think that's super important.
okay. Yeah, 100%. So in terms of helping, so the SaaS company that you're helping, have they been doing any fundraising? Is there any fundraising around the corner or down the line? What's that looking like, and what would your role, I guess, be within that?
Yeah, I mean, this company is incredibly profitable, and they're bootstrapped, and they don't need any funds at the moment, which
They
is
don't
great.
need.
But when they
Awesome.
go, yeah, which is great. But when they will look to exit, I will work with them. And again, I think this is another important role in what we offer is a lot of the times these founders, actually not like most 99% of the time, these founders, they've never sold the business before. They don't know who these private equity guys are. They don't know who these venture capitalists are. They don't know if these are good people or bad people. They don't know what their life is going to look like after they sell. Are they going to be involved with the business? Are they not? And having someone that they trust alongside of them, who I have I know these people. I know the firms. I know the reputations of these firms. I know what's going to happen. I know what the sales process is going to be. I know what they're going to ask for. I know what's going to be important that you
Mm,
highlight, and maybe some of the things that you shouldn't highlight. And so kind of helping them through the process, and just having someone that, like, I'm just looking out for your best interest here. I don't, again, if you sell it today, I actually lose a client. So my goal here is just to, get you in the right, get you the right offer with the right people at the right price, and to make you, as wealthy and happy as possible with the outcome is my goal. and having someone alongside them is, I think, is super valuable thing. Because if you look at all the other kind of people that are involved in M&A transactions, you have a sell side broker. Their incentives are just to get the deal done, and they don't, if even if it's not the best price possible, yes, they want to maximize it, but like they just want to get a deal done. I don't think they really have the best interest in their mind. And then you have the buyers, they're trying to get the lowest price possible. Then you have all the other people that are involved, the lawyers, they're trying to just get as many hours as possible. And everyone involved, I don't think really necessarily has the seller's best interest. And so,
Mm,
having someone that they can rely on that does have their best interest to throughout the process, I think is super valuable. So that's something that when we're looking to help businesses down the line exit, I think will be a really kind of valuable partner in that whole process.
indeed. So, do you find that also part of your role would be on advising whether they should actually raise funding
Yeah,
to grow their business, as well as actually you don't need to raise? Because
yeah,
that's something that people don't talk about is the fact defining the fact that you've got a startup, you don't have to raise.
yeah,
And it's always one of those things, oh well, I need to raise because I need to no, you need to be profitable.
yeah,
And if you're profitable in the early days, why do you need to just get that natural growth, get well organized with a team that is really the best that you can hire
yeah.
because you're profitable and that will want to take you to where you need to get to,
Yep, and I
because
think the pendulum is swinging there, and I think it's a really interesting point. I think it was in vogue in 2021 to raise big numbers. We raised a
yeah,
Series B, and our value is X, and we raised $100 million, and that was like the press releases were one after another for
these
for
guys
some of
weren't
these
even
companies.
profitable.
They weren't even profitable. And I think what some of the founders didn't realize is that if you raise at this massive valuation and a big dollar amount of raise, if you look to go sell the business and you're going to sell it for, let's say, like a $1 billion, that might not be enough for the venture capital. The venture capital said, we invested this much money at this valuation, we need you to sell for 4 billion or 5, and the expectations that you need to get to these huge numbers off of business models
The
that are,
pressure.
yeah, it's just not as proven as they probably needed to be. It just created this, like, such an interesting dynamic, and I think we're kind of swinging back to normality, where I think it's more in vogue today. I'm curious your take on it, to be bootstrapped and say, you know what, we didn't even need to raise money because we own 100% of the business and we're profitable from day one, and we did it through just organic growth and cash flows, and I look at that as, like, I'm way more impressed with businesses that bootstrap versus kind of raised all this money. And I think we're
So,
kind of gotten back to
yeah.
a zone of rationality that I think is more healthy. But I'm curious your thoughts on that.
So my thoughts are, I mean, I love bootstrapping.
Yeah,
I've tried to raise in the past the stress that goes with it. I mean, it's a full-time job.
yeah,
What people need to understand is raising is a full-time job. And in some cases, yes, it's necessary. But not always. And I think the conversation of more bootstrappers or what's the common trend, it actually really depends on the circles that you're in.
yeah,
Because you've got some circles. If you're hanging out with, I mean, even our next, I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys who are, die-hard bootstrappers. I just love watching, how they evolve. And, I guess it's that notion of lean and mean, right? There's nothing extravagant. We get down to the core of what we need. Perfect. And then we get it to market. We get as profitable get profitable as soon as possible. Either putting yourselves on ridiculous expectations and timelines as well, because a business takes time to grow. It
yep,
does. We all know it. Well, we all know it. We're never going to sell the fact that, overnight success is something that it just doesn't make sense. So
yep,
the common thing that we've always said is a business takes 3 years minimum. Okay. If you start being profitable before, oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's great. Some business can be profitable from day one. It depends what you do. Um, but I guess it's managing the expectations and getting entrepreneurs to understand why you would raise, or why do you need to raise if that's the case, or don't raise just for the sake of raising.
Right.
Because either way, and if you are going to raise, don't start getting yourself fancy offices, etc. I'm shocked at seeing how that money is spent. When
Yeah.
people are raising, I am astounded. I
Yeah.
mean, that money is buying all sorts of unnecessary everything. You're
Yeah.
hiring, and and when you're hiring a large amount of people, are you hiring that many people because you absolutely need it,
Yeah.
or do the numbers look good? And the problem with hiring too many people early days is guaranteed not everyone is performing at 100%.
Yep.
It's human nature. Some people
Yep.
are being carried by others. Look at what Elon did with X. He fired everybody, and X
75%
still
of the staff.
exists,
Yeah. Still doing great.
and it still exists, and they
Yep.
still okay. There's a few problems with X. I've got a tooth to pick and everything, but there's a few things that aren't perfect yet, but
Yep.
it's a platform that's made progress. It's and yeah, it's holding the few people that are employed. They need to pull finger. They're
Yep.
getting top dollar salaries for a reason. You know,
Yeah. That's
so
right.
I'm bootstrapping. I'm all for bootstrapping startups and businesses.
Yeah.
That's where
At the end of the day,
I'm
it's like,
happiest.
would you rather have a nice office and a bunch of employees around, or would you rather own a larger percentage of your firm? I would rather own a larger percentage of the
True.
firm personally, but
Hun- it- but 100%. But I guess also the thing is, what people don't understand is that you are giving away, a good chunk of your firm every time you're raising,
the
and
raise, right?
you're adding pressure. You're adding
Correct.
external pressure on you, which you don't already need. Being a founder is stressful. It's
Yep.
hard, long hours, commitments like you won't believe, resilience. Knit the grit, the everything. So why are you going to add somebody else who puts their money in there, who's not really involved, that doesn't bring any value or very
Yep.
little in the greater scheme of things apart from the cash,
Hmm.
but they're going to be holding you accountable, and they're going to say, we've put money down because we want a 10x. So I'm
Yep.
talking VCs.
Yeah.
VCs, I don't think any VC doesn't want at least a 10x. And because of that, they're going to put the pressure that is, and it's unnecessary,
Yep.
and I guess it's opening a whole can of worms there. And an angel investor would be, maybe more appropriate, because you're dealing with someone who doesn't necessarily expect a 10x. He'll come down with you for a 3x.
Right.
But that's already a lot more, you know, I think you can manage that a lot better. But still, it's that external pressure that is, do you really need it to take your company to the next level? I don't
Right.
think so. I don't think so. But nobody talks about it. So,
Yeah.
which is, why I love having these conversations with you, because, we're looking at it from a completely different perspective,
Yep.
but also it's a logical, plausible one. It makes simple sense.
Right.
You don't need to overcomplicate anything.
Right. And that's something that, a lot of times these businesses aren't profitable or yet, and they could be. Sometimes they
Oh,
could
yes.
be, sometimes
And
they're not. And I
raising,
think, yeah. And so
oh,
let's, like, why not just hire someone to come in and, like, get your company to profitability, and then you could keep 100% of the business versus being unprofitable
absolutely.
unnecessarily and then raising money and then giving up the equity ownership, and now you have the expectations, you own less of the business, the extra money doesn't necessarily even help. To me, it seems like such a no-brainer to keep more of the business for yourself and become profitable today. Sometimes and again,
Indeed.
it's easier said than done, but in a lot of instances it is very doable.
It is, and I guess also, you start complicating things, because you're raising. There's more money coming in. Oh, so that means I need to do more. I
Yeah.
need to, but you can't. And also this obsession of scaling. You
Hmm.
don't have to scale. Because when people think scaling, straight up we're thinking of Amazon, or
Yeah.
or any of those But no, you don't have to. It's just grow your business naturally in a way that covers your lifestyle, what you want to achieve, what you want to do, but you don't have to scale. And keep it simple. You can scale simple, you can't scale mess,
Yeah,
sadly.
that's right.
And I guess you're very, confronted to that sort of thing is with the numbers, just saying, hey, you don't need to do all this
Yeah,
to have something that's worthy, I guess, an exitable business or a sellable business.
yep, that's right.
So, so I guess, like, yeah, reflecting on your experiences, have you come across any, I guess, the unsuccessful side of things? So it's all good to talk about the positives, but also the negatives. Any unsuccessful ventures and that you can reflect on for us?
Yeah. I think the business that I tried to buy last year, so the deal ultimately fell apart, and it fell
Hmm.
apart because the performance of the business started to falter. The owner, again, didn't have a an eye on kind of margins and cash flow and kind of important things in the business, and the margins of the business really fell off a cliff, and it ultimately kind of resulted in the deal being untenable. And after raising the money for the deal and spending, all this time on lawyer fees and quality of earnings and everything, and having the deal die about a month before close was certainly frustrating. But it also was the genesis of, wow, there's a lot of businesses out there that need help, and I think I can provide that help. And it's kind of what provided the spark to like start Outfin Group. And so, while ultimately unsuccessful, I think it's really what kind of started this whole venture for me. So that's definitely one that comes to mind.
Okay. Do you Are you going to look at, or are you even considering even today or in the future, acquiring businesses, or is your focus simply solely going to be, let's just do Artfin Group, fractional CFO. I'm going to help you have something that's solid that you can sell, or are you also going to, on the side, potentially, acquire some businesses?
Over time, we'll see where we go. Right now, it's purely advisory, but if
Okay.
down the line, if there's a company that I've been working with, and it's a good fit for us, I could definitely see a scenario where, let's just instead of, instead of selling it to someone else or private equity group that's going to turn around and flip it or whatever,
Mhm.
us, and you know how we work. Maybe the right fit is for us to help you exit the business. So maybe down the road, but right now it's pure advisory.
All right. So next question is challenges in your activity. Do you have any? What are the challenges you see? What are the challenges that you're going through?
Yeah, it's just trying to convince founders that, again, I mentioned it earlier, there's a lot of kicking the can down the road, and trying to
Hmm.
convince founders is, let's get started today, because you need to start to make these investments today. Don't wait. You're costing yourself money. You're literally leaving money on the table today, and the value of your business when you do exit. And so I think that's a little bit of a hurdle that we have with founders. But you know I think we're doing a fine job kind of getting them over the hump, and immediately showing the value that we provide. And that's been super encouraging. As we've worked with a couple of these businesses where, 3 months in, we've already paid for ourselves with the changes that we've recommended.
Awesome.
So the ROI is immediate.
Wow.
And when the more we have of, quick wins like that, the easier it's going to be to kind of get some of these founders over the hump.
Okay. How do you mind me? How big is your team at Outfin Group? Are you is everyone part of the team? Do you work also with partners? I'm talking CFO level only, not other executives. But
Yeah, we work
what
with
does
some
that
other
look like?
partners in terms of from like a bookkeeping and tax. We don't do that.
Okay.
Again, not a CPA. So we have a kind of a partner
Mhm,
CPA firm if a company needs that. And a lot of times
mhm,
they'll come to us and say, we actually have a great CPA, but we need help with the finance function. We say, great, we'll work with them. And other times they say, we don't have anything and we're a complete mess. And I've seen that. And like
mhm.
literally a shoebox full of receipts is how they're running their business. And like not kidding. And that's fine. And that's, good for the owner to kind of step, hand up. We need to figure this out. Can you help? We'll help with that. We have partner kind of bookkeeping and CPA firms that we kind of bring in to start to kind of clean up our process, and then we kind of layer our services on top of that. And then we have a team. We have a small team. There's three of us. Some are offshore, some are onshore, and we're continually adding people as well. So over time, I think we're going to have a reasonably sized team to help out with clients.
Okay. Awesome. And I guess that, sort of sums up the serious part of things. I have a couple of fun questions for
Okay.
you. And so I'd like to know time spent on your phone screen, non-work related.
Non-work related. It's bad. It's a disaster. I think I saw it yesterday because we get the screen time, and so I got to sparse
Yeah.
out, work versus non-work, but it's in the like 4 hour a day total range, which is
What?
just it's bad. It's very bad, and it's actually it's such a point of we're creating a new rule around the house of like phones go in this bucket. We actually love the funniest bastards talked about it this weekend. Phone is going to go in this bucket, and you can't touch them until the kids are asleep. And we actually tried it last night. It worked. So it's something I'm actively working on. And interestingly, this is something I want to do. Maybe we should create it on Twitter. I want to have like a screen time competition where you screenshot your screen time, and then like let's check back in next week, and percentage decrease kind of wins that, and have like a bracket or something to try to reduce the screen time as much as possible, because it's a problem. And I
It's bad.
and my wife is the same way, and we're actively trying to work on it. Where are you at screen time? Am I an outlier, or
So
is that pretty normal?
okay, so it's a tricky one. It's complicated. Um, I've got my wife who's looking at me and saying like, she knows. So the reason why for me it's a little bit tricky is I have a private concierge business,
Yep.
which means I'm forever. It's
On
always got
call.
to do with work, more or less. So
Right.
um, if I have a client who's going to send me, hey, I need a week in Courchevel. Can you sort that out?
Yep.
So basically, that means that I've got to spend quite a lot of time on the screens messaging my partners and then researching new things because my clients come back every year, either for the winter season or for summer. They want to go to Saint Tropez, so I do all the Mediterranean, and then also I do the safaris. I'm constantly either executing on booking these trips or recommending places for X, Y, and Z reason, or researching. A
Yep.
lot of my time is spent researching. Same goes. So last night, I think I went a little bit overboard with food. So I'm a foodie. I love cooking. I'm from hospitality background. So
Right.
you know, I'm a trained chef as well. I've worked in every position in a luxury hotel. So, and I'm the chef at home in terms of I'm in the kitchen. So I spent a lot of time looking up recipes. We have a project in Africa for a new luxury tented safari camp, and I've got to come up with a menu for an entire season. So
Wow.
a season starts from, well, April technically, but high season is in June until mid-October.
Hmm.
Okay, so I've got to have a different set of menus for every day,
Hmm.
and there's only so much that I know off the top of my head. So I started getting going down that rabbit hole of looking things up, different inspirations. So I
Got it.
spend too much time there, and I'm
Yep.
also looking always for new partners globally, whether it's restaurant, hotels, massage therapists, trainers,
Hmm.
close protection. Geez, yeah, it just never stops. So I get a pass for telling people how much time I spend on the screen because it's always somehow screen related, work related.
Got it. That's good. I like that. And on that point, I have something for you. I think you might appreciate. There's a guy, and I could send you the link. There's a guy on YouTube. He reverse
Mhm.
engineered the New York City pizza slice, and he literally found the exact ingredients that goes into what is like the best pizza in the world. Most people think so. And he got into like what exactly goes into the dough, how to cook it, how to store it, how what temperature, exactly how hot the oven is, what kind of tomato sauce do they use, what kind of cheese do they use, and he literally like has videos and videos and videos of him just like reverse engineering it, and he's got to a point where he has this like really cool video, and he has a spreadsheet where you can type in like, all right, I need two 14-inch pizzas, and it'll tell you exactly like the ingredients that you get to make an authentic New York City slice. And I really want to try it.
Okay.
So I haven't tried it yet, but I watched the video and it's very, very cool, very well done. And I like that
All right.
idea of like the reverse
Shall we make
engineering of a
shall we
recipe.
make it a challenge?
That would be
We'll,
good.
we'll
I like
come up
that.
with a with a weekly recipe and challenge. I
Yeah,
think that would be
exactly.
actually quite fun because that means you have to put your phone down
Yeah.
as well to execute.
Yep.
Cool. So next fun question. I'd like to know what is a bucket list item to tick off in 2024?
Bucket list item to tick off. It's a
This
good
year.
one. I think this one's going to be golf related. I am due to go play golf in Ireland later this summer, and I've never played there. So that's going to
Okay.
go in late August, and couldn't be more excited. We have a 5-day trip with some golf buddies. So that's something I've always wanted to do. So that's happening mid August.
Okay. My question is then going, why Ireland? You're going to be playing under the rain. Why don't you come to Spain?
The golf courses in Northern Ireland are some of the best in the world. Royal County Downs is regarded as the #1 course in the world, and it's where it's interesting. It's where Rory McIlroy grew up playing, and the history there is amazing. Um, and so, just the quality of
Fair enough.
golf is world class. The Spanish golf is great. I've never played. I know there's some great courses, but the if you talk to like the golf addicts, they'll tell you Scotland is one, and then Ireland is two.
Okay. All right. Fair point. That's fine. I won't be upset about the fact that you're not going to even come and say hi in Spain. That's fine. No worries. Next one is beach house retreat or mountain cabin getaway for unwinding after a tough deal.
Good question. And so I'm originally from Colorado, so I know the mountain cabin getaway well, and it's been a big part of my life growing up. And I love to ski. I love the mountains. Saying that, I'm going beach, and maybe that's because I had that growing up, and I didn't have a beach near me.
Okay.
So if you, and I've talked to my wife about this a lot. Like, I'd put me on a beach.
Okay. And your wife, where does she want to go?
Same. She loves the
Same?
mountains. She loves doing that, but I think we both agree. Let's go beach over the mountain house.
Right. Fine. We'll see you in Spain later on this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, fashion. Do you rock a hoodie and sneakers or a suit and tie for meetings?
This is a funny one because I started in Wall Street in 2006, and I worked for several firms that were like suits only, and like you had to wear a tie every single day.
Mhm.
And I've noticed this trend over the last few years that's like really the casualization of like even Wall Street, and it got to a point where if you wore a suit and a tie to a meeting, you'd get like looked at like what are you wearing?
Frowned
Why are
upon.
you dressed like that? And so it's gotten so much more casual, and I've even seen people who are wearing the suit with the sneakers, which I frankly I don't get that quite yet.
Oh, no,
um,
no,
it's kind of a thing
that's a
now.
no-no.
So I kind of on the margin. I'm trying to, and I still have all these suits, and I'm trying to kind of become more casual because I still feel like I'm overdressed when I go to meetings around New York.
Mm,
So I'm not going to go hoodie, but I'm definitely trying to kind of make it more casual.
okay, all right. Next is coffee or tea during those make or break sessions, and what kind? Colombian coffee, Kenyan coffee, or Earl Grey tea? What's your uh, what's your soft spot?
coffee and Kenyan and kind of a love of pour over. So a Kenyan pour over coffee. If I can find that, I'm going to do that.
Right. Are you corruptible?
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
I
with
think
tea?
so.
No,
Well,
I don't think so.
with coffee, yes.
With coffee, yeah, I'm open to anything. Like I think we found some of
Okay.
my Kenyan ones that are very good, but open to anything in terms of just good coffee beans.
Okay. When celebrating a successful investment or deal, are you popping champagne, cutting a rug on the dance floor, or quietly celebrating in a restaurant with your wife?
I would say probably the last dinner with the wife at a restaurant.
All right. Comedy club or TED Talk marathon for a fun evening out? What's your
Comedy
pick to
club.
unwind?
Comedy club, and I think it's being in New York and around New York, the comedy clubs are amazing, and you can show up to the Comedy Cellar downtown Manhattan, and you can have
Mhm.
Dave Chappelle show up, and you can have Aziz Ansari show up. You just never know who's going to be there, and it's such a cool cultural thing that you can do in New York is seeing these great comedians, and you never know. There are the nights
Awesome.
there Jerry Seinfeld might be working on material, and he'll pop in for a 5 or 10 minute set. I saw we were front row for Dave Chappelle once, and he came in and did 10 minutes, and I was like, it's one of the coolest kind of nights
Amazing.
out I've had in New York, and you get that you can get that from the comedy club's perspective.
Okay. Last one, which is always one that I enjoy the most, is sports. Where would you thrive? As a single competitor, double sports, relay team, or team sport?
I I grew up kind of playing competitive golf, and and so which is obviously a single sport, but my favorite is actually the team sports. And even you get that sometimes with golf, and I was on a call a high school golf team and kind of trying to go win state championships and whatnot with it as a team. I found the most fun, and it's interesting hearing the PGA Tour guys talk about the Ryder Cup, with between U.S. and Europe, and it's like their favorite week. They do it every 2 years. It's their favorite week every 2 years because they get to play as a team. So I like the team aspect of sports.
So that means you're coming to watch Ryder Cup next year in
So
Europe?
Bethpage is the next Ryder Cup, which is about 30 minutes from our house in Long Island, and so we will be there, in full support of the Americans.
Okay. Well, we will come. We will stay with you in
There
full
you go.
support of the Europeans. How does that
Sounds great.
All right, cool. So I guess that wraps up our podcast. So at this point in time, I don't know if there's anybody who has any questions. Usually people are a bit shy, but in case there are any questions, while we wait for them, we're just going to do a shameless plug and put your contact details there. So please, if you're interested to talk about anything CFO related, fractional CFO, you want to start having a conversation about exiting your business, selling your business, etc. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with Scott. He's a awesome person. And he can be found on X on I am Scott Larson, or his website is outfingroup.com. So connect with him on X, have a look at his website, and so on and so forth. So pretty straightforward and pretty simple. And I guess, Scott, have you got anything else to say? Any shameless? This is your moment.
No shameless plug. I just if you're a founder, get help in terms of the finance function. The ROI is extraordinary, and if you're not doing that, you're literally leaving money on the table. That's really what it comes down to. But also, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the production quality, and it's really good. So kudos to you on that. I think it's very good, very cool.
All right. Well, Scott, thanks a lot for your time. I know it's Easter Monday and usually everyone's taking time offline. But really appreciate you taking this day, and it's not a joke. It's 1st of April, you know. So really, really appreciate your time, and also, all the exchanges that we've had in the past, and hopefully there'll be many more in the future. Okay,
Absolutely.
so have a fantastic day, and we'll be catching up offline very, very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
All right.